My name is Christine Malec. If you listened to the first episode about the 2024 Disability Holiday Market run by the Disability Collective, you'll recognize my voice from that podcast. JJ and I were present for the pure delight of the market on December 8th, 2024 at Wychwood Barns in Toronto. And in this episode, you're going to hear a fantastic series of highlights from that day. As befits a joyful and somewhat chaotic holiday market, you'll be swept around through different audio soundscapes. We'll hear highlights from the described walking tour led for members of the blind and low vision community by JJ Hunt, the audio describer. A conversation I got to have with a couple of deaf vendors. Spoiler alert, I bought 3 of their shirts. Some of the great musical performances by disabled musicians, and the general happy hubbub of a holiday market. But we're going to start with the voices of the Disability Collective, Emily Maxwell, Nathan Sartore, and Ali Hand, who are the divine trio behind so many fabulous initiatives like this one. I wanted to know from each of them why this market is so important for the community.
The idea behind the market was to create a space where community could all come and gather at the end of the year to celebrate together. Because I don't think we're often given that space to celebrate together. There are a lot of times where some spaces are made accessible for us, but it doesn't give us the chance to connect as a community in a way that feels really joyful. We talk a lot about Crip Joy as a concept, which is just bringing disabled folks together in a celebratory environment, and that's what this is all about to me. This is the embodiment of Crip Joy, which is one of our big values, and so for me it's the highest achievement of that value.
I think the reason for creating this market 3 years ago was to break down all the barriers to artisan markets for the disabled folks. So that means, setting their tables up, which for us seems like a very small task to do in the morning. Make sure they arrive and their table and chairs are there, but such a small thing is not offered at other artisan markets. And so just providing an opportunity without barriers for folks of all different parts of the disability community to come together and have accommodations made for them and have an amazing time celebrating the holidays and showcasing their work and being together in community.
I think being in this community space is always really exciting to me because obviously within our community, as they both just said, all of that is so important. But I think another additional nice layer is for folks in this community who maybe aren't immersed in disabled culture, to see all of these incredible artists and to see accommodations made and to see what that can actually look like and what that can mean, and the incredible art that can come from that and the joy that can come from that in spaces that they interact with all the time. If they come to the farmers market that happens every week, they're not going to see people, especially for young ones that are disabled, they're not going to see folks that are like them. So I think it's really nice to be in community spaces and to bring that there. I think that's a nice level.
I haven't met before. I've been describing for about 25 years. I write and narrate description for movies and TV. I do description for museums and cultural institutions, and I do live description and storytelling, things like that as well. So Wychwood Barns is a community hub here in the Wychwood neighborhood, and it's called the Barns because this building is a repurposed streetcar repair facility that was once owned and operated by the TTC, the Toronto Transit Commission. The site is actually a series of connected red brick repair barns, or repair bays, and they were built originally between 1913 and 1921. At its peak, this facility was capable of servicing 50 streetcars inside and storing another 110 streetcars outside in the yard. There was a second, even larger facility called the Hillcrest Complex, built on the nearby. There was an old racetrack, the Hillcrest Racetrack. It got torn down and turned into the Hillcrest Complex, a TTC facility, in the 1920s. So between those two sites, this one and the Hillcrest site, hundreds and hundreds of TTC employees, had jobs in this neighborhood, and therefore they had homes in this neighborhood too. This neighborhood was at one point known as a TTC dormitory, and families of all of those employees, they picnicked together, they worked together, they hung out together. They had a bowling league. They even had the company Christmas party for the TTC was held here at the Wychwood Barns. So this building has had a long tradition of hosting Christmas events in this space. So this is a right hinge door opening out, and we're going to just step inside here. So again, even inside, the Barns really doesn't hide what it was. It fully embraces its industrial nature. The redesign team didn't cover the industrial nature of the site with a layer of drywall. In here, all of the walls are original red and yellow brick and stone block with exposed steel posts and beams. It is not neat and tidy brickwork. This is rough brickwork, industrial brickwork. If you are a tactile person, there's a section of wall right here that you're welcome to feel. But again, keep in mind, it is rough. It's rough brick. So if you explore this, you'll find kind of about chest down is the brick. And that's, again, heavily pocked brick from the floor almost to about chest height. And then above that are stone blocks with vertical grooves. And again, that's like really industrial. The vertical grooves are there so that plaster can stick more easily to it. You'll also find there are metal spikes sticking, not spikes. They're actually brackets. There are little pieces of wood that you can find stuck into these walls, because that's how you would have made a rough stone wall. If you had a gap in it, you would just shove a little bit of scrap wood in there. There are also vertical grooves, these long, very tall vertical grooves that are actually steel posts that have been painted about a dozen times. So they blend right into the wall a little bit. And these vertical grooves, these steel posts, most of them connect to exposed rafters overhead. These are steel lattice rafters that go all the way across the width of the building. And again, all fully exposed. Above that, there is a skylight that runs all the way down the length of the building. So between the glass walls at the end of the building and that skylight, that peaked skylight, there's actually quite a lot of natural light in this building. Along the north wall and the south wall, we're close to the south wall here right now, there are doors that lead to the other barns. The other barns that are barn number 1 that's to the north side, and barn number 3 that's to the south side. And these doorways now open up into artist studios, a lot of private art spaces to the north, and then to the south it's some art spaces, but also some of those non-profit organizations there to the south. And again, these doorways a lot of them are framed in steel, and above the doorways on the north side are historical photos, black and white enlargements of images of the TTC, the Barns, from 1908 all the way up to 1966. And the image from 1908, I wouldn't even call it a streetcar. It's more of a trolley car, like a San Francisco-style wooden trolley car. And then, of course, by the 60s, the streetcars are looking quite a bit more like the streetcars that I grew up with in the 70s and 80s. I should mention some of the decorations that are hanging up here before we make our way through the market. So there are strings of light that kind of zigzag, crisscross all the way back and forth. And these are individual golden light bulbs that go back and forth. There are a couple of really long chains of construction paper. I don't know if you ever got to do that craft as a kid, where you take pieces of construction paper, you link them together, and you make chains. There are a couple of really colorful chains hanging here on the south wall, and each one of the links in the chains has a little note, a handwritten note in black Sharpie on it, and they're zigzagging back and forth. And then, so Elsa, the Snow Queen, is just walking by. Hello, Elsa. So Elsa, the Snow Queen, is here. Elsa is... she's known as Signing Elsa, so she sings. She is part of a group called Sing and Sign Princesses, and everyone who works for that company is a CODA, a child of a deaf adult, and is fluent in ASL. So Elsa has been walking around signing to kids. Kids have been running up and like hugging, and then I've even seen her do a sign-sing duet with a little kid. Which was super sweet and lovely. So as she walks through in her long flowing blue gown, and she's got a long blonde wig that in a braid that goes all the way down her back, and her top is like a translucent blue with snowflakes in golden thread woven on. And so right now she's posing with someone to take a selfie. So she's kind of just parading all the way through, back and forth. There are also some musicians we're gonna encounter when we get to the far end of the space. So what we're gonna try and do now is walk through the market together. I'm gonna do my best to walk backwards facing the group so that I can be describing I'm not going to be able to describe all of the tables and all of the vendors. There's just too much activity. But what I want to do is kind of landmark where all of the major things are, so that if you guys want to continue exploring on your own, you can do so. All right, so we're going to pack in tight. Everyone grab the elbow. I'm going to just make my way to the front of the group here. All right. Everyone feeling ready to wander through? Yeah, if you wouldn't mind. Oh, no problem at all. So the first thing we're going to do is walk through the vendor alley. So we're going to walk through one row of the vendor alley. This aisle that we're going to walk down has vendors on our left and vendors on our right. Then if you're looking for the other aisle, you go to the north wall and you walk right along the wall, and all of the vendors in that row will be facing you, facing the north wall. So this is the aisle that's got both vendors on both sides. And this aisle is crowded with shoppers. Because a lot of the artists that speak ASL are in this aisle, and so there's lots of activity with interpreters and conversations about art. Also, several folks in wheelchairs and in motorized wheelchairs. So it's a busy aisle here. So we're just going to walk down again. Vendors on our right, vendors on our left here in Vendor Alley. Okay, so this is the end of Vendor Alley, and again, we're probably 60% our way through the hall. So this is about, the market takes up more than half. The vendors take up more than half. And then here we have a couple of things of note. So in the direction of my voice right now, closer to the north side of the building, is the photo booth. And this is a really nice kind of professional setup. There's a backdrop of like gold and blue sequins, and you can run your hand up and down the blue and gold sequins to change the pattern. Really nice. You can then take, if you want to do a not a selfie because it's a posed photo, if you want to get your family or your friends gathered around, there are some props like some elf hats and some headbands that have like reindeer antlers, and there are garlands made of Christmas ornaments and garlands made of like felt snowflakes. You get yourself all dolled up with your group. You pose in front of the gold and blue backdrop, and then there's a staffer there who can take your picture and print it right on the spot. So they'll print that for you if you'd like. That's absolutely free. So just ahead of us, so continuing toward the east, just ahead to the right, is the craft station. So this is the card making station. Super cute, really nice. There are all sorts of, again, a series of tables with a blue tablecloth and these baskets of crafting supplies, paper and scissors and, glue sticks and tape and all sorts of things like that. And there you can make holiday cards. You can make those cards and take those cards home yourself. Or if you'd like, you can make some cards and slip them into a very tall, glittery box that's wrapped up like a present. And the Disability Collective is going to take any cards that are dropped in there, they're going to pass them along to Sending Sunshine. And that's a not-for-profit organization that aims to reduce loneliness and isolation in seniors communities. So they'll send whatever cards you drop in there to folks in our greater community who need a little bit of extra connection over the holidays.
That's great.
All right, so we're gonna just shuffle past the card making station. Right now, the card making station has about half a dozen kids at it, a couple of volunteers, and I see some cards being made, big blue cardboard. Hi guys. Cardboard cards, construction paper cards. Moving ahead from here, directly in the middle of the space at the east end of the building is a music spot. So that's where musicians are setting up throughout the day and will continue to set up throughout the afternoon. It's a nice little cozy spot, a couple of wooden chairs, a couple of mic stands, decorated with pine cones and branches of pine trees and like white birch tree, like birch bark decorated tiny mini Christmas ornament trees, lovely sparkly lights and whatnot, and different musicians have been setting up there throughout the day. All of the musicians that are playing here throughout the market are part of the disability community, and so I see someone setting up right now. I don't see any instruments, so I don't know what they're going to be playing. And so if you want to check out the musicians, you want to take a listen, you can either sit in the cozy corner or at the far end of the building, basically right at the glass wall on the other side, are a setup of tables, little coffee tables. They're like cafe tables, round tables, nice wooden chairs, and the tables, again, are decorated with winter floral arrangements and tablecloths. A nice little area there. To the left, again, so on the north wall, at that far end of the building, we have the Coffee Cafe. This is the Little E Coffee Cafe. And then there is the Do Good Donuts. So donuts and cookies and coffee, all sorts of good stuff. And both of those organizations, because literally everything the Disability Collective does, they are thoughtful about. Both of the organizations that are here selling food and snacks are also organizations that are doing their part. These are organizations that hire from within the disability community to find employment opportunities and experiences for folks in the community.
So, for the sake of clarity, the name of the vendor is... What is your name?
My name is Alexa.
Okay. And the voice that we're hearing is the voice of the interpreter.
Yeah.
And your name,
My
the
name
interpreter?
is
Elias. Okay. So, Alexa, may I... I'm going to give a microphone to Elias, if that's okay.
Yes.
For
Sure.
Beautiful. So, Alexa, is this your first time at the Disability Market as a vendor?
Technically, we were here last year, but I was sick. So this is my actual first time really being here all day.
Have you been a vendor at other markets?
So I've been on Toronto Island, the market there. They have a Christmas holiday market. I was there yesterday and 2 days ago, actually.
Oh.
So this is my third day in a row.
Oh, you must be exhausted.
No, I'm good. I'm fine. For now.
So how is it different to be at a disability-focused market versus a conventional able-bodied person's market?
What's this one? Hold on, I'm just struggling. So the one yesterday and 2 days ago, it's more family-oriented, community-based. But there's no interpreting. There's no accessibility. So I have my mom help me or my friends help me. So here I can be more independent. There's interpreters that are provided, so that's what's different about this disability market. And you could be more social and you see other people and other artists.
I think it's really a great opportunity for me as a blind person to speak to you as a deaf person, because I think that our communities are two communities which don't interact very often for some reasons that are, sort of obvious, but I love the chance for people with different abilities to have a dialogue and to communicate. And I bought 3 of your beautiful 2 t-shirts and a sweatshirt, so I just want to say that I love finding ASL type art and clothing in a public space. So thank you for
I'm so happy
being
you
here.
enjoy it. I'm so happy you appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
We would love to collaborate more in the future with the blind community.
There's something I'm extra interested in, which is sign singing. I'm a singer myself, and I only learned about sign singing a few months ago, and I am so intrigued by that. Is that something you have done?
It's funny because I love music myself. So I have TikTok. I don't know if you know TikTok, the
Yes.
social media.
Yes.
So there's a lot of people on social media that sign music, and I really enjoy watching them. And I'm glad it's getting more and more popular.
Oh, I feel like I have so many questions, but I'm not sure what they are yet.
So I've helped an artist record some music in ASL. We've done video. I've helped them with the ASL portion. I love to do more.
I have a question about body language. When I nod or shake my head, that makes sense to you. Does that make sense to you as a deaf person? I'm not saying something mean in sign language or anything.
No, of course it makes sense. We read body language all the time.
Yes, of course.
We have to depend on it.
Yes, and also I'm conscious of interrupting because I can't see when you've stopped communicating. I can only hear the interpreter and not know. There's something that would on Zoom
Right,
calls.
yeah, you're right.
There's something on
it's
Zoom.
a little awkward sometimes.
Awkward, yes.
Yeah.
Awkward. I'm hearing ukulele. Is that a ukulele performer? Is that what's happening?
I believe so. They're at the far end of the hall, so I haven't caught a glimpse of them yet.
We'll make our
but
way.
I'm pretty sure this is a live ukulele player.
Sounding live.
Not
sounding
a
like a
pre-recorded.
ukulele.
Yeah.
The jazz combo earlier was quite spectacular. I was on a cozy couch, curled up, just listening to the jazz. I've been walking around sort of hearing this, like mobility devices and things, but I'm curious about the crowd breakdown and how this crowd looks versus another holiday market that you might have attended.
Yeah. You're absolutely spot on with the mobility devices. Lots of the vendors and lots of the shoppers. Just the space is full of people using mobility devices, people with disabilities, people who are taking advantage of the sensory room. All of these things are like on display, like proudly. The Disability Collective is selling a shirt. I love this shirt. It's printed out to look like the knitwear of a Christmas sweater, and then in kind of stitch writing it says "Merry Christmas," and that's the crowd here. There's a lot of like people who have mobility devices that are decorated, that have Christmas lights on them, or that have they're decorated in some way, or there's someone who's walking who's got a cane that's covered in stickers, like really shiny, sparkly stickers. This is a crowd, first of all, of people who are using the devices, and secondly, people who are damn proud of their devices. It's fantastic.
But completely by chance, I just ran into a friend from a totally different sphere of life who I haven't seen in probably 10 years, and she had a friend with her who said, I looked ahead on the website for this, and I was able to see photos of the bathroom, and so I knew that my friend with the walker could come here and use the bathroom. And so you can just feel the vibe of like, this is an inclusive space on purpose, and the collective has done everything to make it that way. And so it's good to know that that's reflected in the people who show up. But then there's all of these just lovely community people who live in the neighborhood or have showed up and doing shopping. Are you seeing lots of transactions taking place?
Oh, tons. There's a lot of conversation with vendors as well, which, you know, you often get at farmers markets and at arts markets, because this is a great opportunity to meet the people who are making the art. But lots of interest from people in how things are made and what they are made of. I also found there was one vendor who was a knitter, and one of their signs not only listed the price for each item, but how many hours it took them to make that individual item. So here's a knit hat. Here's a knit toque. It is X amount of dollars, and it took me 2.5 hours to make. I loved that piece of information. Isn't that smart?
That is so smart.
Tons of people who are not only making their purchases and doing their shopping, but also taking advantage of some of the other things. People who are hanging out, getting a coffee, getting a donut at the Do Good Donuts place, at Lily Coffee, and then chilling out in the cozy corner, like you were saying, and sitting and listening to the music. All that's totally free. This is just an open space that's part of the community, so a lot of people using it as that. So we're passing some, so there's some little stuffed frogs that I'm coming back from this knitter. I really want to get some of those stuffed frogs. They're like, they've got a little bit of weight to them, but they've got floppy limbs. They look super cute. Yeah. There's a photographer clicking pictures. Oh, looks like we've got the Grinch. The Grinch is here. So this is a person wearing a Grinch mask and has a Santa coat on, and a full green Grinch mask with the Grinch scowl and a Santa hat.
Coat and a hat.
Yeah, and the Grinch just stopped for a selfie with Elsa. Even the Grinch wants a picture with Elsa. So the musicians have a nice little setup here, a couple of microphones, a couple of wooden chairs, and they're set up in an area that's decorated with sparkling white Christmas lights on little white birch trees and like pine branches, pine boughs, and pine cones.
Oh, lovely. And all the performers are members of the disability community, I believe.
Every performer is part of the disability community.
Such a dreamy space. We hope you've enjoyed our description-rich coverage of the 2024 Disability Holiday Market, brought to you by the Disability Collective. It hasn't been officially announced yet, and tickets aren't yet on sale, but we wanted you, our listeners, to be the first to hear about the Collective's next big event. The Sit Down Comedy Show will be on February 20th at 8 p.m. at the Theatre Center. Stay tuned to learn more. On behalf of Emily, Nathan, Ali, and the rest of the Disability Collective team, happy holidays.